Well, hello, everyone. My name is Darren, and I'm one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to the Health Sciences Information Session for the Occupational Health and Safety Part-Time Certificate and Associate Certificate Program. First, I want to say how happy we are to see you all, and thank you for attending our presentation today. Feel free to post your questions or comments into the chat during the presentation, and we will address as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation in the Q&A segment. And if you could please keep your microphones and video turned off just until the end of the presentation to reduce connectivity issues and interruptions during the recording, that would be greatly appreciated. And just before we get going, I want to acknowledge that well, the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And our agenda for this evening is welcome and introductions, flexible learning, occupational health and safety program options, who's this program for, how will you learn, what will you learn, where will you work, and how can you progress in your career? And then we'll get to the questions and answers at the very end. And just before I introduce David Wood, the program head, I'm going to ask for your assistance with a quick poll. So which of the following is something that a safety practitioner should not be doing? Training workers, workplace inspections, enforcing safety requirements, and investigating incidents and complaints. Okay, I'm going to end the poll. I'll share the results. And then with that, I would like to introduce David Wood, the program head for the Occupational Health and Safety Part-Time Certification and Associate Certificate Programs. Okay, thanks, Dave. Take it away. How did we do with the poll, the last one?
Oh, we did well. Everybody had good responses. You can make an argument for almost any of those answers. The answer that I would say is most applicable is the enforcing safety requirements. And it's not that safety practitioners should not enforce safety requirements. It's just that it is not technically their job. It's the supervisor's job. It's the manager's job. So it's a line responsibility, and you want everybody to do their part in the safety program. So if everything is left up to the safety practitioner, then everyone kind of abdicates their responsibilities. So you need to force people to do what they have to do according to the Workers' Compensation Act and the Occupational Health and Safety Regulation. All those legal requirements are saying people have to do their job in safety, and they're very explicit. Enforcing safety requirements is definitely something that should be done by supervisors, managers, etc. Okay, I just want to say hi. My name is David Wood. I'm program head of part-time studies, or as it's now called, flexible learning in the Occupational Health and Safety program at BCIT. We have a full-time diploma program that takes 2 years. And we also have a part-time or flexible learning. Well, we have a couple of programs in part-time studies, flexible learning, that I will talk about over the course of the presentation. So let's get going. First slide, I guess. So why occupational health and safety? Obviously, everybody is here for a reason. You signed up for this seminar because you know something about occupational health and safety. You work in an industry where health and safety is important. Maybe you know people that work as health and safety practitioners or safety professionals. Maybe you've seen accidents and injuries at work and you've gotten concerned. Maybe you're on the Joint Health and Safety Committee. Maybe you're a supervisor. There are many, many reasons why someone would become interested in occupational health and safety as a profession. And as a profession, as we're going to talk about soon, there are lots and lots of opportunities, lots of need, and it also pays well and is a generally very exciting, hopefully not too exciting, but interesting job to have for a career. So we have a couple of different programs at BCIT in flexible learning. The first, if you are just starting out, is an associate certificate in foundations in occupational health and safety. This is a 20 credits or 7 courses. So this associate certificate is designed to give you the education required so you can start work in an entry-level safety practitioner or technician role. So you get enough education, enough training that you can go into the workplace and start work. Definitely, once you start work, that is the start of your next education, as you're going to learn so much after you graduate. Another point about this associate certificate is it meets the educational requirements for certification as a Canadian registered safety technician. So there's a piece of paper you can get, a national certification after you complete this program, plus get 1 year work experience in safety. Now, this program is the beginning of a career in safety. People can get into a safety position and start work. And this program will ladder into another certificate program, ladder specifically into the certificate in advanced safety management. And that program is a little bigger, but it will allow you to continue your education and training in safety. Next slide, I believe. So a little bit about the certificate in advanced safety management. We'll go back, talk about the foundation program in a few minutes. The certificate is about 15 courses or 45 credits, so it's about twice as big as the associate certificate. It, as I said a second ago, provides the education required for you to progress from an entry-level safety practitioner or technician role to work at a higher level in safety management. So you get more responsibilities, you're overseeing more people, and with that comes obviously better pay and other remuneration. So the certificate in advanced safety management is taken after the associate certificate in foundations in OHS, and taken together, those two programs meet the educational requirements for certification as a Canadian Registered Safety Professional, or CRSP. The first designation, remember, was a Canadian Registered Safety Technician, and with a bit more education and a couple of years more experience, you can qualify as a Canadian Registered Safety Professional, which is about as high as you can get in Canada for certification as a general safety practitioner. Obviously, you are interested in the program or you wouldn't be here. What we suggest prospective students should have is 3 to 5 years work experience, because work experience is critical for your understanding of the material that we're going to cover in the program. And it's also critical for an employer to hire someone. They don't want to hire a safety professional who has never actually gone out and worked in the real world. This is definitely a hands-on job. It's not just theoretical. You can't, like, we do not suggest people straight out of high school take this program. They definitely need to go work for a couple of years, get their hands dirty, and then they can come back and learn about all the safety requirements. In addition to the general work experience, English proficiency, I wish I had it, in all 4 language skills, reading, writing, speaking, and listening is really important in this profession. 2 years of education in English in an English-speaking country, and English grade 12 are strongly recommended for success, but are not required to get into the program or to start taking courses. We just suggest those as a prerequisite. We're not going to test you on them. So student success in safety, in a large part, is going to depend on the ability and skills you bring with you into the program. And that includes your work history. So you have been out there, got your hands dirty, you know the job hazards, You understand how things happen in the real world, in the real work world. You understand how people think and why they do what they do. Being able to relate to your fellow workers is a huge skill for safety professionals because, as I said, you're talking, and this is very practical. It's not all theoretical. You take the legal requirements and you have to make them happen in the workplace, and you can't do that if you don't know the people and you don't know how they think and you don't understand them. So it's really critical that you have some work experience and that you have some abilities. You know, you should be comfortable talking and communicating with all kinds of people. And that's something we work on during the program, but you also are bringing in a lot of those skills. If you decide to take the program, how will you learn? All of our courses in the program in flexible studies, part-time studies, are all online. You should expect to spend about 6 to 10 hours per week for every course that you are in. So if you're in 2 courses, that's 12 to 20 hours. So that's quite a commitment. Our courses are not like easy online courses that you can just buzz through. You definitely are going to spend a lot of time. They are typical BCIT courses. There's a lot of content, a lot of work, a lot of things to do. So expect to make that commitment if you wish to be successful in the program. Don't overload yourself by signing up for 4 or 5 courses in your first term. You know, start with 1, maybe 2 courses, see how the online system's working, and go from there. We do have a term-based system, so we have 3 terms per year, starting in January, April, and September. They're 12 weeks long. So you can sign up for courses in each of those terms, or you can skip a term, whatever is up, whatever works for you. Each course you take has an instructor or tutor who's there to answer your questions. If the material is not clear or you have any questions on anything, assignments or materials, you can ask your tutor. Most courses have 2 exams and 2 assignments. Usually the exam and assignments are due in week 6 and week 12 each term. There can be a little wiggle room. Assignments are completed online. Exams, we do have online exams, but they must be written with a proctor or at the BCIT test center. You're not just opening them and writing them at home. They have to be proctored or written at the test center. There are some online discussion topics in most of the courses, so you get to kind of meet some of the other students and discuss whatever the issues are of the day. A note about the assignments. This is typical BCIT stuff. Our assignments are very practical, hands-on things. Often we require students to go to a workplace to do the assignments. So they're not like doing the whole course, the whole program from their kitchen table. They have to actually go out and they have to talk to people. They have to look at safety programs. They have to do inspections. There's all kinds of different assignments depending on the course. And we try to make the courses and all the material as practical and hands-on as possible, so that at the end of the program, you're ready to work in the workplace and it's not all, theory. It's definitely going to be practical knowledge you come out with. Next question, or next slide, sorry. So what are you going to learn in the program, in the Associate Certificate in Foundations in OHS? We're definitely going to talk about legal requirements for occupational health and safety. We look at several jurisdictions across Canada and the federal system. It's not all about BC because some of our students are from other provinces. We do cover BC, but not specifically. We talk about accident investigation theories and methods of investigating accidents. Spend a lot of time on hazard recognition and evaluation processes and hazard controls after you recognize and evaluate hazards, you have to control them, how to implement those controls, how to follow up, etc. They have a course on safety program development and safety program management. We spend a lot of time looking at safety culture in the workplace, how to develop and maintain a strong safety culture, because everything you learn and you do in the workplace, whether it's going to be success or a failure or what sort of buy-in you're going to get, is going to depend on the safety culture in the workplace. Some places you can go and do stuff and it'll be crazy successful, and other places you can try the same approach and it'll just fall flat. So safety culture is a really important topic, and we talk about it a lot in the program. Safety management processes. This is related to safety program development. Safety programs need to be managed, and there's a lot to learn in that area. And we talk about that a lot with all of the courses. How to identify and manage hazardous materials. Hazardous materials, obviously important depending on the industry that you're in. You could have a lot of hazardous materials and some very hazardous materials, or maybe if you're in another industry, you're not seeing very many, but we do have a course so you can recognize, evaluate, and control the hazards that you come across in your industry. Talk a lot about education and training, communication, supervision. These are all very, very important things in a safety program. Workers need education and training. Communication is huge. Supervisors also need education and training. And we go into all of that in the several courses. And we also look at occupational health and occupational hygiene, as far as mostly airborne or other exposures to substances in the workplace, whether they're chemical, physical, biological, etc. We do cover some of that in the associate certificate program. We cover definitely more material and in more depth in the certificate in advanced safety management, but the associate certificate will introduce you and get you up to a certain level in all of these topics. Next slide. So where are you going to work, assuming you come do the program, graduate with honors? Where are you going to work? A lot of grads start work with their current employer. If you are working with a good employer, sometimes they will sponsor and help pay for you to take the program and employ you at the end of the day. Maybe you are with an employer, you're in the Joint Health and Safety Committee, and you want to learn more about some topics, and eventually, you graduate, you could maybe catch on with your current employer. That is one good place to start your work in safety. Another is by staying in the same industry. So if you're coming out of, say, manufacturing, or healthcare or forestry, learning and going back into your same industry is also very common for our grads. So they know the hazards, they know the people, they know how things work in their industry, and that's the best place to start. Later on, a lot of graduates change and go into a different industry with a different employer. So you have a lot of flexibility once you get that first job and get some experience and get a piece of paper or two behind your name. You have a lot of flexibility to go a lot of places in safety. And it could be anywhere in Canada or outside of Canada. A lot of grads end up working in all over the place. So it's hard to nail down any one employer, or one industry. They are everywhere. So where will you work? As I just said, in your current employer industry, because you have knowledge of people, culture, hazards. However, you could work anywhere because all industries require safety at some level. More hazardous industries, larger employers have more need for safety professionals, so those are better places to work. There are private employers, say construction companies, manufacturing plants, etc. There are also public employers. The government has a huge safety program. WorkSafe BC hires a lot of our grads. Municipal safety, most cities and regions have safety professionals. And as I said, a lot of them are graduates of our programs. We have been teaching these programs for 40 years. So we have a lot of graduates out in industry. And it seems they're always happy to hire BCIT grads. So you have kind of an in if you graduate from BCIT with a lot of our grads. Grads can also work in healthcare, just to name a few industries: construction, forestry, mining, tourism, maybe something you don't think about, manufacturing, transportation. Pretty much any industry is going to need safety professionals. Sort of job titles you get as your first job title as you're starting your career in safety are things like Occupational Health and Safety Coordinator or Officer, Occupational Health and Safety Assistant, or possibly Manager if you're working for a small employer. If you're working for a small employer, you might be the whole safety department all by yourself, which is a little scary for a lot of people. If you work for a larger employer, they probably have several safety people in the safety department. And that way you can get some mentoring, which is great when you're starting off. You could also end up specializing because they have so many safety people. You can specialize in a certain area of safety. You could be in, say, hazardous materials specialist, or say specialize in hygiene or ergonomics or something like that. So there's a lot of opportunities depending where you work, how big the employer is. So the salaries do vary quite a bit, and I've listed here 45 to 50,000. I think this is a couple of years old. The last few years, our graduates are making some pretty good money. The average diploma graduate, I believe this year got about $75,000 as a starting. Obviously, as a certificate or an associate certificate, you're not up that level, but you can get up to that level within a couple of years if you get a good position and you do well and you continue with your studies. The 75,000 or more is quite common in safety. And again, that varies industry to industry and employer to employer. So a little bit about career progression. So you're going to start, or most people start, with more of an entry-level job after the associate certificate. So you'd be a safety practitioner, safety technician. The certification you're going to go for eventually would be the Canadian Registered Safety Technician level. So that's a good goal to have early in your career. As I mentioned a minute ago, it's good to work in a large department, so you get mentoring opportunity, lots of people to help you learn your way around things. After a year of work experience, you can apply for the Canadian Registered Safety Technician certification and start work. And after you start work, you can continue your studies at BCIT in the Advanced Safety Management Certificate program. So while you're working, you do a course every few months or a couple of times a year. You can do a course, and then over the 4 years that you need to apply for the Canadian Registered Safety Practitioner, Canadian Registered Safety Professional, designation, you need 4 years work experience. So over those 4 years, you can get the associate or the Advanced Safety Management Certificate, which that with the associate certificate gives you the education you need to qualify for the CRSP. So as I said, you need the education and you need 4 years work experience. Obviously, you're looking to advance your career more to a safety management position, much more responsibility, much kind of more interesting, not as quite as hands-on. I know a lot of people like the hands-on. They like working with workers and supervisors, and that's great, but this puts you more into the office. However, you do have the opportunity to make a bigger difference in safety, a bigger difference in people's lives if you move up to a management level position. And also they tend to pay a lot more too. So it's usually a career goal for most grads. So as I say, we have 3 terms each year. Our next term starts January, I don't know, 3rd or 4th. Anyways, be the Tuesday after January 1st. So our next term starts in January. Registration opens, looks like tomorrow. So anytime between tomorrow and midnight the day before the term starts, you can register. The next term after the January, after that 12-week term, starts in April. So that's a 12-week term starting then. Registration opens February 22nd for that. So you have to register during the registration period, and then you take the courses. If you finish a course earlier, you cannot register for another one. So you have to register at the start for what you want in the term. And believe me, not many people finish the courses early. As I said earlier, there's lots of work. We keep you really busy. And you know, you're going for the whole 12 weeks to get through the courses and learn everything you can. The term after April doesn't start till September. So there's a bit of a gap. July and August, we really don't offer anything for the online courses. We have one lab course we usually offer every summer, but that's more of an advanced course. So that's something you would do towards the end of your studies. It's not something that's offered in the associate certificate program.
Thanks, Dave. I think I can grab it from here just to go over these non-academic slides, and then we'll get back to you for the Q&A in just a few moments. Thank you so much for all that excellent information. And now I would like to let you know BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. So some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. And here are some of the important student supports I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. The BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aids and awards webpage. And please contact financial aid directly for information regarding financial assistance. BCIT is also committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. So if you feel, or if you have been accepted to a program and believe that you need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. And BCIT's Student Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCIT students year-round. We also have a counseling and student development department available to help you enhance your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And last but not least, our recreation services promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being. We consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services. Even if you're online, I suppose you can visit the campus and enjoy some of those amenities. And just for information, these are our health sciences social media handles. We'd love for you to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn. You won't need to write any of these down because everyone will be receiving a copy of the slide deck and a link to the recorded video sometime next week. So that's just for your information, and you know to look for that if you want it. And that brings us to the questions and answers. So I noticed there's a couple already in the chat. I'll just read these out, and then maybe Dave can let us know. Here's one. What does it mean to have a test proctored?
To get your test proctored, you need to find a professional someone who belongs to a professional association, and then apply to BCIT and then we look into their association, and we would okay or not if they would make a suitable proctor. So we basically want someone to proctor an exam, or to make sure, and they have to be sort of in the same room when the student writes their exam to make sure everything is done properly. That's all. That's basically what a proctor does, but what they have to be is some sort of a professional or belong to a professional association. So a lot of our students are not near BCIT, so they can't come to the test center. So we get lots and lots of people writing in different parts of the province or in other provinces. So it's not that hard to get a decent proctor. Sometimes you can go to a local library and they will help you with your exams, or some local test center at another university or college.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there a type of industry focused to the courses, or are there courses broad in scope?
Okay, we're teaching general health and safety. So I guess the answer is there is nothing specific. We do look at and get examples from all industries when we are going through the program. So we're not focusing on construction or healthcare or manufacturing. It's all industries. So you come out as a safety generalist. You're not specializing in one area of safety, and you're not specializing in any one industry. So generalist.
Excellent. Thank you. Is there a limit to the number of students who can enroll in each semester?
We have a limit in each course because there's a tutor in each course. So they cannot obviously handle hundreds of students if they're asking questions. So we limit each course to a maximum of 30 students so that tutors can get back to each student in a timely manner if they are asking questions. So we don't want you to, get lost in the rush. So definitely a limit on each course.
Excellent. Thanks, Dave. Will textbook format be hard copy or PDF?
Most of the material is online. There are a few textbooks with a few of the courses so that you have to purchase separately from the BCIT bookstore. I think that some of those textbooks are available as ebooks, so you could get them online at a lower price, or you can get the physical book from the bookstore. We severely limit the number of books we make you purchase during the program. I think it's only like 3 or 4 for all of the courses. So the extra cost for buying textbooks is pretty low. You do have access to the BCIT library as a student, which has a lot of online books. You can get whole ebook access and all kinds of really good stuff from the BCIT library as a student. Lots of journal articles, full text, everything you need. So that's a heck of a resource for students, but probably can't get all of the textbooks through the library.
How does it work if someone wants to work as a safety inspector?
Okay, as a safety inspector, I assume you're talking something like working for WorkSafe. Well, there are a few other places you could work. It works the same as everything else. Usually you would need, to graduate, get your piece of paper, and then you would need a couple of years work experience before you could get that sort of a job. But we have a lot of our graduates work at WorkSafe and at Employment Service Development Canada, which is the federal version of WorkSafe BC. So it is an option, but usually they hire people who have been out there for a while and got some experience, and then they get those types of jobs. It's not generally something you get straight out of school.
Okay, good to know. Are there any other costs past the individual courses and books?
Any other costs? Well, you do need to, like I was talking earlier, the assignments. Sometimes you have to go to a workplace. Hopefully you could use your own workplace or a friend's workplace, or do some networking, find some workplaces to go into. Depending what you do, there might be a requirement that you need some safety boots. So hopefully you have some steel-toed boots in your arsenal somewhere. Maybe you need safety vest or eyeglasses or eye protection, but a lot of workplaces would supply those. So it might just be the safety boots that possibly you would need as an added cost.
Do the courses need to be completed sequentially, or can a student choose what courses they want to take in any given semester?
For the most part, we suggest you do them in numerical order because they kind of build on each other. So you're learning stuff in the earlier courses and we're expanding on it. So if you take an upper level course first, unless you have a good background in safety or you know a lot of stuff, you're going to be seeing stuff that we expect you to know and you haven't learned it because you didn't take the earlier course. So it would probably affect your performance and your grades. You'd probably pass the course, but not do as well or learn as much as if you did them in order. Later on, when you're near the end of your studies and you have a few elective courses to take, then pretty much you can take them in any order. But definitely the first half a dozen, I would suggest people do them as much as possible in numerical order.
Thanks, Dave. And that actually brings us to the end of our time. I just want to thank you for your time and interest. And as Dave mentions, there are many opportunities and a great need for motivated and trained safety practitioners, and workers and employers need you.
They're
So,
definitely, with COVID and everything that's happened the last few years, the awareness around safety and the interest in safety has kind of gone through the roof. And yeah, there's more opportunities now and there's more need now for you to get trained as a safety practitioner or a safety professional. And there's a huge need for really good, well-trained people out there. We're still getting far too many injuries, far too many fatalities in the workplace, and we need to look after people. So even things like mental health these days are really important. So there's lots of opportunities in so many areas that you can branch out into or specialize into. So I would say it's a great profession to get into, and you're not going to be doing the same thing every day, that's for sure. Year after year, you're going to be learning and doing more things and different things. So it's not boring, put it that way.
excellent. Thank you. And if you can notice these important email addresses here, if you have program specific questions after this, you can send an email to ohs@bcit.ca if it's a program question. And if it's more to do with admissions, you can contact the program_advising@bcit.ca. So thank you all so much for your time. And I wish you all the best of luck in your future and happy learning. And have a great night.
Thank you. I hope to see you in the program.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.